Hi everybody. Today's video is going to be a follow-up to my previous video on how to pass the NCMHCE exam. If you are coming from that video, then you are in the right place. I have 3 more resources to give you to help you study for this exam. I'm really excited to share these. These resources did not exist when I was taking this exam. And like I stated in that previous video, the exam has changed quite a bit in the past 2 years. So you want to make sure that you are using current and updated resources to guide you in your studying. Hi, my name is Alyssa Powers, and I created this channel to teach therapists the things that grad school didn't. I'd love it if you subscribed and stuck around. I plan to make lots more content that supports therapists in private practice and agency and just helps them on their journey to becoming licensed and enjoying their journey as a mental health professional, because I believe that it can be a beautiful career that doesn't have to involve tons of burnout. So let's get into the study tips. So a huge part of this exam to obtain your second C is knowing your DSM really, really well, and specifically knowing the difference between diagnoses that seem really similar. So it's not enough to just know the basic, like I know what an anxiety disorder is, depression, bipolar. You want to make sure you can differentiate between 2 disorders that might be very similar. So for example, anorexia and binge eating disorder can look very similar, and the thing that differentiates them is that a person with binge eating is going to, abstain from food in a similar way that an anorexic person is, but then they are going to overconsume food as well. So you want to focus on knowing your DSM, which you can, of course, just read through your DSM and familiarize yourself, but I find that to be very tedious. Obviously, that book is like this thick, super dense and boring, and also not every diagnosis is gonna be on there. Like they really do stick with often the more common ones that you would actually see in a clinical setting, because there are so many very niche and specific disorders in the DSM. So my first new study guide that I want to give you is a Quizlet that I'm going to link below. And I did not make this Quizlet, but Quizlet is free to use if you make an account. And someone just put in all of the DSM common disorders into this Quizlet. If you've ever used Quizlet, you can have it test you. You can put it in flashcard mode. You can play a matching game. It's really interactive and can kind of be a lot more fun than just reading through your DSM. So I didn't make this, so just a disclaimer, but there are 107 terms. ADHD, adjustment disorder, agoraphobia, anorexia, antisocial personality disorder. So they're going through, they're giving you the name of the disorder and then the definition. And I think this specific Quizlet is really, really good to just familiarize yourself in a different way. Next, I have also linked below a DSM-5 quick study laminated reference. This is just on Amazon. This is a great thing to have as a therapist in general. It says on here that it's a laminated wall chart, so you could have it even up in your office too, but it has all of the common diagnoses and just like a little blurb about them. I've seen lots of therapists use this because it can be really annoying to have to pull out your entire DSM to go over the criteria with a client. So similarly for studying, I feel like this is great to just have in your office, but also to study from. It is just like a quick study guide. And I thought that was cool, and it's only $8. So that's really a nice thing to have if you're interested. And then lastly, I wanted to highlight an app that I found Also linked below, this app is called Pocket Prep. I have not used it personally, but it has really great reviews, and they do have a study guide that goes with the NCMHCE subject. So it says court counseling attributes, intake, assessment, diagnosis, treatment planning, counseling skills and intervention, professional practice and ethics. So it will quiz you and then give you scores based on all those different sections. And I thought that was cool because a lot of people have commented on videos and said like, well, I failed by like 1 point or 2 points. I think it can be great to see how you're doing in each of these areas. So you can really get specific with your study skills. So you're not just going over content you already know, but you're focusing on what you struggle with. And then lastly, this isn't really, a specific guide, but I found on NBCC's website, they have a link to all of their recommended study guides. It includes the NCE too, so you just need to make sure that you're looking at the resources for the correct test. But I'm assuming if you're taking your second C exam, you've obviously already taken the NCE, so you know the difference between the two. I know when I was taking the NCE, I was confused on the difference because these names are very similar. It's just a confusing process, but they have listed, and also this is linked below, all of the study resources that they recommend. So a lot of these I've referenced in either my past video or this video. Like the Rosenthal book is on here for the NCE. That's very common. Pocket Prep, that's where I found that app is listed on here. So I just thought that would be a good thing to include if you're looking for more resources, because I know for me, I can't just read out of a book. I need to kind of be able to mix it up. So I like to either read and then rewrite in my notes, kind of like a summary of what it's saying. I like to use Quizlet and quiz myself with flashcards. I like to have like tactile things. I can't just listen to audio, but some people love that. So there's lots of ways to study for this exam. I know I said this in my last video, but I truly do think this exam is easier than the NCE because it's so much more focused. And even with the recent changes, it's still quite similar. It looks more like a case study than it is just random questions that you would have seen in grad school. Like this is actual, like, here's your intake with your client. Here's what they might have been diagnosed with. Is this a correct diagnosis? And then you're just acting as the therapist, which personally I find much easier than just memorizing random facts like the NCE was. So I hope that this was helpful. If it was, please subscribe. I know I haven't made a ton of new videos. I am a new mom, so I'm kind of trying to find the balance between the two things right now, but I was so overwhelmed with the positive comments on my last video about this topic, and I'm so glad it was helpful. So I just wanted to give you a few more resources. So comment down below if you end up trying any of these. I would especially love to hear if anyone has used the Pocket Prep app, maybe for another exam, or if you end up using it, I would love to hear your experience, if it was helpful or not. All right, I'll see you in the next one.